So if you're a Montreal Canadiens fan qui écoute les choses en français à RDS, you'll know that Norman Flynn comes out with some wild takes on the shows that he's on, and sometimes this guy comes out and says stuff and it's like, what on earth are you talking about? Like, there was a time he compared Caden Gooley, saying that he's a young Hal Gill. Then there's the time where he said that Nick Suzuki should be traded for Wayne Simmons. And then you'll get an absolute kicker out of this one. This one is an absolute barn burner take from Norman Flynn. And honestly, at this point, I'm asking myself if he's doing it on purpose to troll people. Like the other day, he came out and he was crushing Hoffman against the Sharks for not having scored on the power play. And guess what? Mike Hoffman was a healthy scratch that game. And he was like, where was Hoffman? Why didn't he score? Like, what's going on here? Buddy forgot that he was healthy scratched, I guess. But he's okay with making fun of himself, and I appreciate that. He was on BPM Sport with Georges Larac, and he made fun of himself a little bit because Georges was saying, oh, well, the people love to hear you. You're a fan favorite of the listeners. And he was saying, oh, was that before the Hoffman thing or after the Hoffman thing? So clearly he knows, and he's not afraid to make fun of himself, which you got to respect. But this take is just off the rails here. And it's not that old. Like, yes, it's before Caufield started putting the puck in the back of the net. Like, amazingly, looks like one of the best Habs goal scorers in decades here. But he came out and he said, and even at the time, this was silly. Like, this isn't a hindsight thing where it's like, oh, Caufield is a star now, it looks stupid, but at the time it made sense. No, at the time, trading Cole Caufield for Kyle Palmieri did not make any sense. I don't get it, and it's weird because yesterday he came back and tried to justify what he was saying. He didn't just come back and say, oh, I was dead wrong. Absolutely, I don't know what I was thinking. End of story. No, he tried to justify why he said that at the time. And Norman, I'm going to give you a heads up here. It doesn't make sense now, and it didn't make much more sense at the time. And if you want to know what exactly he said yesterday to justify this decision, and it's in French, so I'll translate it, he said, I understood what Marc Bergevin wanted to do. He wanted to win a Stanley Cup with his number one goalie. And apparently, trading Cole Caufield for Kyle Palmieri does that. And look, I get that at the time, I guess, trading Caufield, who wasn't even playing with the Montreal Canadiens yet, for a guy in Palmieri who could give you 20 to 25, maybe 30 goals, would help for that one season. But when you mortgage the future like that with a player in Caufield who, let's not kid ourselves, in 2020, tons of people knew that Caufield was going to be a prolific goal scorer, okay? It's not like at that time this kid was like an unknown question mark that everybody's like, oh, what's going on? I know some people had questions about his size, but everybody knew he had unbelievable talent to score goals. He scored 12,000 goals in the U.S. National Development Program, and all coming up through junior and in college. All he did was score goals. Everybody knew, right? So, I don't know. At the time, I'm thinking about 2020. I'm trying to give Norman the benefit of the doubt, and I'm putting myself in the shoes of 2020, and I'm saying, okay, it's 2020. Caufield's a prospect. How do I feel about this trade? I still spit in the face of this trade in 2020. It doesn't make sense to me then or now. That's a few now from Norman Flynn where it's funny. I will admit it's funny to see these completely off the rails, terrible predictions and takes from Norman Flynn. But at some point, it cuts into the respect for the type of people that RDS is willing to have on their program. I'm all for these crazy takes and I love them, and I love RDS, don't get me wrong, and there's some legends on there like Pierre Houd, who I absolutely love, and even Marc Denis. I love Marc Denis, but when you let this guy on, and guys like this on, even Michel Bergeron on l'Antichambre a few years ago, there's some people here where if you let them just have free reign to say whatever they want, it kind of lets the program and the network, that being RDS, lose a little bit of credibility when a guy like this, who's supposed to be a professional analyst of NHL hockey, comes out and says stuff like this. He is so clearly out of date and is living in the fact that the NHL right now is the same NHL that it was in the 80s, right? Where you need guys like Wayne Simmons and Kyle Palmieri above all. And that is just so not the case. And it's so not what the NHL needs right now. Like guys like Cole Caufield now and in 2020 absolutely would light the league on fire and should be much more valuable than guys like Kyle Palmieri. And again, I'm not saying fire the guy. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying don't let him speak on TV anymore and duct tape his mouth shut. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying maybe have a talk with him and say, hey, Norman, maybe smarten up a little bit. Like, smarten up a bit with these takes. It's not working here. It doesn't look good for us. Maybe tighten it up a little bit. That's all I would say here. And of course, I want to know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.